नारिब को फोन करूं?
अरे ज़ेबा का कॉल आ रहा है, 1 मिनट। हाँ, हेलो ज़ेबा।
ए वतन वतन मेरे आबाद रहे तू, सारे जहां से अच्छा हिंदुस्तां हमारा हमारा, सारे जहां से अच्छा।
अरे ज़ेबा, क्या हो गया? आज इतने देशभक्ति के गाने क्यों गा रही है?
क्योंकि आज का दिन ही कुछ ऐसा है। वैसे तुम्हें याद नहीं आज क्या है लारब?
नहीं, मुझे तो बिल्कुल याद नहीं। क्या है आज?
अरे सच में याद नहीं?
अरे हाँ बाबा, सच में याद नहीं है। क्या है ऐसा आज?
आज हिंदुस्तान को, हमारे इंडिया को, भारत को आजादी मिली। आज 74th इंडिपेंडेंस डे है, 15th अगस्त।
अरे यार, मैं तो बिल्कुल भूल ही गई थी। एक तो ये कोरोना वायरस, ऊपर से लॉकडाउन का चक्कर। मुझे तो कुछ याद ही नहीं है। लेकिन अब हम कर भी क्या सकते हैं? मैं तुमसे तो मिल नहीं सकती। तो काय का इंडिपेंडेंस, जाने देते हैं इस बार।
क्यों जाने देते हैं? हम बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं। तुम्हें मेरे साथ फ्लैग होइस्टिंग देखनी है?
हाँ हाँ, जरूर, क्यों नहीं।
तो चलो।
कहाँ?
कहीं नहीं, बट वर्चुअली चलना है, जूम पर। AIKC कॉलेज फ्लैग होइस्टिंग जूम पे दिखाएगा। मिल नहीं सकते तो क्या हुआ, वर्चुअली तो हम मिल सकते हैं ना।
अरे चलो, फिर देर किस बात की है?
I request every one of you to please stand up for our national anthem and salute our national flag.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा। विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा। तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे। गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
हमारी कोई भी बज़्म खुदा के नाम के बगैर अधूरी है। तो मैं आवाज दूंगी अंसारी जुवेरिया और शेख सादिया को कि वो आए और इस बज़्म में तिलावत कुरान करें।
अस्सलामुअलैकुम वरहमतुल्लाहि वबरकातुहू। सूरह इखलास by Jweta Ansari and Sadia Sheikh. अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम। बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम। कुल हुवल्लाहु अहद।
In the name of Allah, the entirely merciful, the especially merciful. Say, He is Allah who is one.
Allahu Samad.
He neither begets nor is born.
Lam yalid wa lam yulad.
Allah, the eternal refuge.
Wa lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad.
Nor is there to him any equivalent.
Subhanallah. Thank you so much, Juweria and Sadia, for making this atmosphere so peaceful and blessing us with all the positive vibes. जो प्रोग्राम है इतना अच्छा स्टार्ट हुआ है, तो सोचिए आगे का प्रोग्राम कितना मज़ेदार होगा। अब आ रही है खान लारब, जो हमें हमारे देश के बारे में और जानकारी देंगी, इंडिपेंडेंस के बारे में बताएंगी। लारेब, प्लीज़ आप आए।
हेलो गाइस, हिंदुस्तान सिर्फ एक जमीन का टुकड़ा नहीं है। हिंदुस्तान सिर्फ बहती हुई नदियों और लहलहाते खेतों का नाम नहीं है। हिंदुस्तान सिर्फ एक मुल्क नहीं है, बल्कि ये तो एक जज्बा है जो हमारे अंदर बसा हुआ है। अरे हिंदुस्तान तो हमारी आन बान और शान है। हिंदुस्तान तो अनेकता में एकता की एक बेहतरीन मिसाल है। यहाँ पर 29 स्टेट मौजूद है। हर स्टेट की अपनी एक अलग बोली है, अपनी एक अलग मजहब है और अपना एक अलग कल्चर है। मगर यहाँ पर तमाम लोग ऐसे मिलजुल कर रहते हैं जैसे कि कोई जुदा ही नहीं है। हम अपने आप को सिर्फ एक हिंदुस्तानी कहलाना ही पसंद करते हैं। अरे हिंदुस्तान दुनिया का वो वाहिद मुल्क है जहाँ पर इतने सारे मज़ाहिब होने के बावजूद भी हम एक दूसरे के त्यौहार ऐसे मनाते हैं जैसे कि वो हमारे अपने ही हो। न पूछो जमाने से क्या हमारी कहानी है, हमारी पहचान तो बस ये है कि हम सिर्फ हिंदुस्तानी हैं। जीरो की दरियाफ्त भारत में हुई। आर्यभट्ट मारूफ रियाजीदां इसी सरजमीन में पैदा हुए। एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम हिंदुस्तान की ही देन है। अरे मेरे हिंदुस्तान ने तो इतनी तरक्की की है कि अगर मैं उसकी तरक्की गिनवाने बैठूं तो सुबह से शाम हो जाएगी। हमारे देश को आज़ादी दिलाने के लिए बहुत से शहीदों ने अपना खून बहाया है, तब हमें जाकर हिंदुस्तान हमारा हिंदुस्तान मिला है। मैं बहुत फख्र महसूस करती हूँ अपने हिंदुस्तानी होने पर, क्योंकि हिंदुस्तान ही दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा डेमोक्रेटिक मुल्क है। लेकिन ये हमारे देश को क्या हो गया है? यहाँ हमने क्यों एक दूसरे से मजहब के नाम पर लड़ाई करनी शुरू कर दी है? हम तो अपने शहीदों की कुर्बानियों को भूल चुके हैं। तभी तो हम आपस में इस तरह लड़ते हैं कि जैसे जानी दुश्मन हो। क्यों ऐसा आखिर हो रहा है? आखिर हमारे मुल्क को किसकी बुरी नजर लग गई है? यूं तो हमारे जवान सरहद पर हमेशा तैनात रहते हैं ताकि वो दुश्मन मुल्क से हमारी हिफाजत कर सके, लेकिन अंदरूने मुल्क रहने वाले लोग ही उनकी इज्जत नहीं करते, क्योंकि हमने उन शहीदों के और उन जवानों के बलिदानों को भुला दिया है। अभी भी देर नहीं हुई है। अगर हम उन शहीदों के बलिदानों और हमारे जवानों की शहादत को याद करें और उनके उसूलों को अपनाएं तो हम भी कहीं ना कहीं सुधर सकते हैं। तो आखिर में मैं आपसे बस इतना ही कहूँगी कि आपस में झगड़ा मत करिए, अपने देश की तरक्की के लिए काम कीजिए। ऐसा कोई भी काम मत कीजिए कि आपका देश का सर शर्म से झुक जाए। आखिर मैं आपसे बस यही कहूँगी, फूलों से कुछ भी नहीं कहूँगी चमन के लिए, बंदूकों से कुछ भी नहीं कहूँगी अमन के लिए, पर मेरे प्यारे देशवासियों आपसे बस इतना कहूँगी, 2-4 मिनट ही सही वक्त निकालिए कभी अपने वतन के लिए। शुक्रिया। एजुकेशन इज द की टू अनलॉक द गोल्डन डोर ऑफ फ्रीडम। एक कोट ये बताने के लिए काफ़ी है कि एजुकेशन हमारी ज़िंदगी में कितनी इम्पोर्टेंस रखता है। इंडिया की एजुकेशनल पॉलिसी में इंडिपेंडेंस से लेके अब तक काफ़ी चेंजेस हुए हैं। आज इस पैनल डिस्कशन में हम उनमें से कुछ के बारे में जानेंगे। तो पैनल डिस्कशन के मेंबर हैं जहरा सोनकाचवाला, अबीर सिद्दीकी, निदा गढ़वाला, तातिया शेख एंड इब्तिसाम कुरैशी।
Good morning, respected principal, teachers, and my dear friends. As you all know, the education policies are set to help the schools to teach students efficiently. Lots of people all over India have criticized the Indian education policies since they have many questions in their minds. Like, is it fruitful? Is it practically oriented? Is it skill oriented? So on and so forth. India has observed many changes in the educational system since independence and is going to change many more in the near future. We as educationists should be aware of the same. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to you all myself, Ms. Nida Gadwala, the host of the panel discussion regarding the changes in the educational system of India since 1947. I would like to request my friends Ms. Sadia Sheikh, Ms. Abhi Siddiqui, Ms. Zara Sonkachwala and Mrs. Tisam Qureshi to join me in the panel discussion and put light on the important aspects of the changes in the educational system of India since independence.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Sadia Sheikh and today I am going to talk about the status of education during 1947. India began freedom with a fairly low level of attainment in education in almost all respects. India was having only 17 universities and 636 colleges. From this graph, it is evident that the number of primary school was only 1,72,661 with 14 million pupils, which implies that only one child in every three in the age group of 6 to 11 was in school. The number of secondary school was 5,297, which implies that only one youth in every 20 in the age group of 14 to 17 was in school. And the number of middle school was 12,843, which implies that only one youth in every 11 in the age group of 11 to 14 was in school. Technical and vocational education was there but was very poorly maintained, and the supply of high level of scientific manpower was very limited. Education inequalities was very large, especially between one region and another, between rural and urban areas, between men and women, and the advanced and intermediate class on one hand and scheduled caste and scheduled tribe on the another. The status of education was unsatisfactory and the total emphasis was laid on English subject and a too little stress on mathematics, science or Indian languages. The literacy rate was only 14% and the illiteracy rate was 86%, as it is evident from the graph. So this was the status of education during 1947 in India. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Abir Siddiqui and I will be talking about the journey of education in our India from the year 1948 to 2000. The Indian Constitution tried to popularize education among the Indian citizens to be able to fill the gap between the urban, rural, male, female, rich and poor, and to be able to provide maximum possibilities to get education with minimum expenditure. The immediate action taken by the Government of India right after independence was University of Education Commission in the year 1948. With the establishment of the Planning Commission in the same year, India was proclaimed a republic. The total investment in the education sector was 153 crore in the first 5-year plan. According to the report submitted by the Education Commission, it was suggested to set up the National Board of School Education to channelize the school education in a proper way. And so, without delay, the National Education Policy was declared in the year 1968. Thus, our free India was able to accelerate the expansion in education only after the adoption of policy in 1968. The schoolless villages got schools within 1 kilometer radius. In the year 1985, about 5,20,000 primary schools, 1,30,000 middle schools, 59,000 secondary schools, 6,000 degree colleges, 135 universities including 17 agricultural colleges and 117 medical colleges were able to provide education in the country. One of the most important development achieved was the acceptance of a common structure of education throughout the country and the introduction of the 10+2+3 system by most of the states. After 20 years of implantation of National Education Policy of 1968, the Government of India made some changes, and in 1986 it declared the new education policy called the National Policy on Education 1986. Subjects like removal of disparities and emphasizes on the steps to equalize opportunities to women, scheduled castes and scheduled tribes were taken into consideration. Further, the National Policy on Education was modified in the year 1992 again. This modified version stated that the whole nation has pledged itself through the National Literacy Mission to the eradication of illiteracy, particularly in the age group of 15 to 35 years of age, through various means with special emphasis on the total literacy campaign. So this was about the journey of education from the year 1948 to 2000.
Good morning, everyone. Wish you all a very happy Independence Day. My name is Zara, and I am one of the panelists who will be discussing about the education journey from 2000 to 2010. Okay, so let us talk about Sarva Shikshan Abhiyan, which was introduced in November 2000. What exactly is Sarva Shikshan Abhiyan? Sarva Shikshan Abhiyan is a program for universal elementary education. This program is also an attempt to provide quality education for improving human capabilities to all children through provision of community-owned quality education. It is a response to the demand for quality basic education all over the country. So, National Curriculum Framework, you can see how it progresses from 1975 to 1988 to 2000, and now recently which we are following, that is 2005. Now, the fact that we know that learning has become a source of burden and stress on children and parents is an evidence of a deep distortion in educational aims and policies and also quality. So, to correct this, NCF proposes 5 guiding principles for the curriculum development all over India. In 2009, Right to Education Act was introduced. This act is of Parliament of India and it was enacted on 4th August 2009, which describes the modalities of importance of free and compulsory education for children up to the age of 14 years, that is from 6 to 14 years in India, under the article of 21A of the Indian Constitution. Now the title itself gives importance to 2 words, that is free and compulsory. So these 2 words are most important in this act and which provide free education for children up to 14 years of age. Government should make policies where school education and higher education are affordable to all. The main focus of educational reforms in India should be enhancing job skills of these students. It will help the nation too. And of course, this transformation won't be easy. So, we all should come together and stand together to bring about social reforms and to bring about changes, positive changes in the education system of India. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. My name is Ibtisam Qureshi and I will be discussing the journey of education in India from 2011 to 2020.
Another Independence Day has come. For 74 years, we have wanted our children to grow up into free-thinking, confident and innovative Indians. So, are we all getting access to quality education? It is a heartbreaking sight to see long lines of parents waiting year after year to get their child into a decent school. Most of them are doomed to failure as there aren't enough places in good schools. Because good government schools are scarce, parents are compelled to send children to a private school. Between 2011 and 2015, enrollment in government schools fell by 1.1 crore and rose in private schools by 1.6 crore, according to government's DISE data. The latest assault on school autonomy is the threat of a ban on private textbooks. In 2015, the HRD ministry advised schools to use only NCERT books published by the government. Parents worry about the decline in quality and late delivery of books. So the question that comes in our mind is, are our universities producing skillful and productive graduates? If our graduates and postgraduates were productive, they would not have struggled for getting jobs in their specialization areas. 74 years into the independence, it is time to give autonomy to a higher education. It is time to shift from examination-oriented studies to more productive works.
Good morning, respected principal, teachers, and my dear friends. On this occasion of Independence Day, I, Ms. Nida Gadwala, will discuss about our new education policy 2020, from which all of us have many expectations.
The policy aims at making India a global knowledge superpower. It focuses on a transition from theoretical and examination-oriented learning to skill-oriented and job-oriented learning. What are the major changes? The first and the foremost change is in public spending. Education sector will get 6% of GDP. Earlier it was only 1.7%. This will be so fruitful for the education sector to foster. HRD Ministry is now renamed as Ministry of Education. Changes in school education. New structure for school education is now 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, which is specified in detail in the policy. Changes in college education. Undergraduate courses will change to 4 years. After 4 years graduation, candidates can go for PhD. Multidisciplinary approaches will be given emphasis. Affiliation system will get replaced by greater autonomy for higher education institutions. Hundreds of foreign universities will get permissions for starting their off-campuses in India.
Friends, there are many positive changes in the new education policy 2020, of which the important ones we have discussed. All of us have so much of expectations and hopes from the new education policy 2020. The policy framework is very good on paper, but now it is in the hands of teachers to make this policy successful. And we, as future teachers, will try our best to make this policy successful. Friends, we can do it and we will do it. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.
ऐसे ही जोश भरी नज़्म से, पोएम से, कविता से मैं बुलाना चाहती हूँ अफशीन एंड फातिमा चरबीवाला को।
गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन, माय नेम इज़ अफशीन मालिम और आज स्वतंत्रता दिवस के दिन पर मैं एक कविता पढ़ने जा रही हूँ। कविता का नाम है आज तिरंगा फहराता है अपनी पूरी शान से। आज तिरंगा फहराता है अपनी पूरी शान से, हमें मिली आज़ादी वीर शहीदों के बलिदान से। आज़ादी के लिए हमारी लंबी चली लड़ाई थी, लाखों लोगों ने प्राणों से कीमत बड़ी चुकाई थी। व्यापारी बनकर आए और छल से हम पर राज किया, हमको आपस में लड़वाने की नीति अपनाई थी। हमने अपना गौरव पाया अपने स्वाभिमान से, हमें मिली आज़ादी वीर शहीदों के बलिदान से। गांधी, तिलक, सुभाष, जवाहर का प्यारा यह देश है, जियो और जीने दो का सबको देता संदेश है। प्रहरी बनकर खड़ा हिमालय, जिसके उत्तर द्वार पर हिंद महासागर, दक्षिण में इनके लिए विश्वेश है। लगी गूंजने दसों दिशाएं वीरों के यशगान से, हमें मिली आज़ादी वीर शहीदों के बलिदान से।
Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. Still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still like dust I'll rise. Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room? Just like moons and like suns, with the certainty of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise. Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries? Does my haughtiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard? Cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard. You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise. Does my sexiness upset you? Does it come as a surprise that I dance like I have got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
Leaving behind nights of terror and fear, I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise, I rise, I rise. Thank you.
रियल करेज इज डूइंग द राइट थिंग व्हेन नोबडी इज लुकिंग। हमारे देश को आज़ादी दिलाने में कुछ लोग ऐसे भी थे जिन्हें हम आज याद नहीं करते, लेकिन आज की पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन के जरिए न सिर्फ हम उन्हें याद करेंगे बल्कि उनके कामों के बारे में भी कुछ मालूमात हासिल करेंगे। तो पावर पॉइंट प्रेजेंटेशन के मेंबर है शेख नमरा, शाम फरीदा, अंसारी उमामा एंड सैयद रिबा।
Abadi Banu Begum, popularly known as B. Amma, was born in 1850 in Uttar Pradesh. She married Abdul Ali Khan, a senior official in the Rampur state. The couple had one daughter and 5 sons, and among these 5 sons were the 2 great freedom fighters, Muhammad Ali Johar and Shaukat Ali. Her husband died at a very young age, after which she shouldered the responsibility of raising her children with utmost sincerity and dignity. Though Banu Begum did not have any formal education, but still, she sent her children to an English medium school. She suffered the trauma of 1857 revolt, which ignited a strong desire within her to see her country to be free of the British rule. Her role in the freedom struggle. She played an important part in raising funds for the Khilafat movement and the Indian independence movement. When both her sons were put in jail, she addressed a large gathering on their behalf and gave a moving speech. This was the first time when a woman was seen addressing such a large crowd, and that too in a burqa. In 1917, she joined the agitation to help release Annie Besant and her 2 sons from jail. Biama took active part in Khilafat movement and the freedom movement and encouraged many women to play greater participatory role in the freedom movement. During the Khilafat and non-cooperation movement, Biama collected funds and organized meetings of Indian women to tell them about their struggle and the importance of shunning the foreign goods. She was active in the freedom movement until her death. Abadi Banu Begum died on 13th November 1924 at the age of 73.
Bikhaji Rustam Kama. She is also referred as Mother of Indian Revolution, was born on 24th September 1861 and died at the age of 74 on 13th August 1936. Bikhaji Rustam Kama's father, Saurabji Fremji Patel, was an influential member of Parsi community. Her parents were well known in the city. She attended Alexandra Native Girls English Institution, wherein she was diligent, disciplined child with a flair for languages. Remembering Bikhaji Rustam Kama, the brave lady to first hoist India's flag on foreign soil during an international socialist conference at Stuttgart, a city in Germany, wherein 1,000 representatives from across the world who came to attend the conference. She unfurled the first version of Indian national flag, a tricolor of green, saffron and red stripes. The fiery lady then announced, "This is the flag of independent India. I appeal to all gentlemen to stand and salute the flag." Surprised by the dramatic incident, all the representatives at the conference stood up and saluted the first flag of independent Hindustan. This was no mean achievement. Indian independence was 40 years away, and the world was still unaware of the burning patriotism of thousands of young Indians who were ready to lay down their lives to free their country from this British rule. With Har Dayal, she launched a revolutionary paper called Vande Mataram, copies of which were smuggled into India during the First World War. She also worked as Dadabhai Naoroji's private secretary for some time, remembering Madam Bikaji Kama, the brave lady.
Hello everyone. So today I'll be talking about Matangini Hazra. Matangini Hazra was born on 19th October 1870 and she died on 29th September 1942. Matangini Hazra was an Indian revolutionary who participated in the Indian independence movement following Gandhiji. She was very well known as Gandhi Buri. Gandhi Buri is a Bengali term known for old lady Gandhi. Matangini Hazra was born in a very poor family. Her father could not afford her dowry and thus she found herself married at 12 to a 60-year-old man. By the age of 18, Matangini Hazra was widowed without any children. So after her husband's death, she began devoting herself to working for social causes. She became so inspired by Gandhi's beliefs that she became a devoted follower of the Gandhi, earning herself the name Gandhi Buri, as I told you earlier. Matangini participated in Gandhi's civil disobedience movement and then she was arrested for violating the Salt Act. She also participated in the Chaukidari tax bandha and there she was arrested again. But this never stopped her spirit. In 1933, she joined the Mahakuma Congress Conference. Always engaged in humanitarian causes, she worked among affected men, women and children when smallpox in epidemic form broke out in the region. She participated in the Quit India movement and there the people of Midnapur planned an attack to capture the Thana Court and other government offices. Matangini was then 72 years old, but then she led the procession. But there, the police opened fire. A bullet hit her arm. Undaunted, she went on appealing to the police not to shoot at their own brethren. Another bullet pierced her forehead. She fell down dead, a symbol of the anti-colonial movement. Holding the flag of freedom in her hand, she died. India earned its independence on 15th August 1947 and numerous schools, colonies and streets were named after Hazra. The first statue of a woman put up in Kolkata in independent India was of Hazra's in 1977 and a statue now stands at the spot where she was killed in Tamluk. So this was all about Matangini Hazra. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. I would like to present in front of all an unsung hero named Maulana Hazrat Mohani. He was born in 1875 as Sayyid Fazlul Hasan at Mohan, a town in the Unnao district of United Province in British India. Hazrat was his pen name that he used in his Urdu poetry, whereas his last name Mohani refers to Mohan, his birthplace. Hazrat Mohani championed the freedom struggle. He also wrote verses expressing deep love for Krishna and often went to Mathura to celebrate Krishna Janmashtami. He studied at Mohammedan Anglo-Oriental College, which later became Aligarh Muslim University, where some of his colleagues were Maulana Muhammad Ali Johar and Maulana Shaukat Ali. His teachers in poetry were Taslim Lakhnavi and Naseem Dehelvi. To honor him, Aligarh Muslim University has a hostel named after him. Mohani was a member of Indian National Congress for many years and also joined the All India Muslim League, serving as its president in 1919. Mohani supported the leadership of Muhammad Ali Jinnah but chose to remain in India after the partition of India in 1947. In order to represent the remaining Muslims on different platforms, Hazrat Mohani chose to live in India rather than migrate to Pakistan. Mohani participated in the struggle of Indian independence and was jailed in 1903 for many years by British authorities. In 1904, he joined the Indian National Congress. He was the first person in Indian history who demanded complete independence. In 1921, as he presided over an annual session of All India Muslim League. In December 1929, his campaign for complete independence resulted in the shape of Indian National Congress session in Lahore. Maulana Hasrat Mohani died on 13 May 1951 in Lucknow, India. There is a street named Maulana Hasrat Mohani in Kadar Place, Mumra, district Thane, Maharashtra.
करो या मरो, तुम मुझे खून दो, मैं तुम्हें आज़ादी दूंगा. Do or die.
वाह ज़ेबा, क्या स्लोगन बोला है. ऐसे ही और स्लोगन सुनने मिलते तो कितना अच्छा होता.
अच्छा तो लारेब, तुम्हें और स्लोगन्स को महसूस करना है तो चलो साथ में नेक्स्ट प्रोग्राम में, जो मैं और मेरे साथी प्रेजेंट करेंगे, स्लोगन्स एंड पोस्टर्स फॉर आवर इंडिपेंडेंस डे.
हमारा प्रोग्राम तो खुदा के फजलो करम से काफी कामयाब रहा, मगर हर प्रोग्राम को उनके बड़ों की गाइडेंस की जरूरत होती है. इसलिए मैं दावत देती हूँ डॉक्टर नसरीन शेख मैम को कि वो आए और अपने कीमती मशवरों से हमें नवाजें. आकर जो आप जीनत महफिल बढ़ाएंगे, आकर जो आप जीनत महफिल बढ़ाएंगे, फूलों की क्या बिसात है हम दिल बिछाएंगे. तो मैं आवाज देती हूँ डॉक्टर नसरीन शेख मैम को, हमारी प्रिंसिपल को, कि वो आए.
Respected members of the managing committee, my colleagues and dear students, Assalamu alaikum. A very good morning to all of you. Today we all have gathered here to celebrate the 74th Independence Day of our great nation. The year 2020 is going to add a new chapter in the Indian history and definitely in the history of the world. Today, we all are celebrating Independence Day virtually by using different digital platforms, as India is continuously fighting against COVID-19 along with the precautionary protocol. So everyone across the country is following the COVID-19 norms of social distancing. Despite of these physical restrictions and constraints, still our hearts are united and filled with the feeling of patriotism and nationalism to commemorate the glory of independence and the sacrifices of brave hearts who fought for the country's freedom. Freedom in mind, faith in our heart, pride and memories in our souls. So let's salute the great freedom fighters who went through countless sacrifices, pains and sufferings to give us freedom from the British Raj. Now here, a special mention should be made for those unsung heroes who none of us are aware, but they still have an equal contribution to achieve independence. All these leaders, they displayed an immense contribution with respect to bravery and courage against the British Empire to demand freedom for their beloved motherland, India. So we can say that thousands laid down their lives so that our country is breathing this day. So children, never forget their sacrifices and the importance of freedom. On this occasion, while it is important to commemorate the glory of independence, it is also important to witness the millions of soldiers who continues to lay down their lives to protect our country at the border. We should also salute the frontline warriors who are fighting day in and out at the hospitals to protect us from the dreadful virus COVID-19. We all hope that next year we will meet a brand new India free from COVID-19 and emerging with flying colors, dynamic and versatile in every manner. So let's salute our great martyrs, unsung heroes, soldiers at the border, the medical personnels, and the common men who are serving the nation selflessly. Now, children, on this occasion, I would like to convey one message to all the nation builders, the future teachers, that uh, free your mind and hearts from all kind of prejudices, biases, discrimination, bigotry, hatred, and preconceptions. Because you all are the future of this country. The strength and the future of our country is in your hand, and you all have the power to brighten the future or the tomorrow of the nation. Okay, children. So always remember, ये बात हवाओं को भी बताए रखना, ये बात हवाओं को भी बताए रखना, रोशनी होगी चरागों को जलाए रखना, लहू देकर जिसकी हिफाजत हमने की, लहू देकर जिसकी हिफाजत हमने की, ऐसे तिरंगे को सदा दिल से लगाए रखना. So I again wish you all a very happy and prosperous Independence Day. Stay home, stay safe. Jai Hind.
With the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we successfully accomplished today's program. Alhamdulillah. The essence of truth always wins at the last, and we believe that the last will be the best ever. I, Zeba Sheikh, General Secretary of All India Khilafat Committee, College of Education. For me, it's a great honor and privilege to propose vote of thanks on the occasion of 74th Independence Day. As our hearts are filled with patriotism and enthusiasm, which overflows within us. As we recall our sources that went down for our nation's pride, my heart is filled with love, and with all my love, I would like to say a big thank you to our principal, Dr. Nasreen Sheikh ma'am, for always being there, for always guiding us, for always supporting us. Thank you, ma'am. I convey my sincere gratitude to our management for always supporting us. I convey my deepest gratitude to our honorable and wonderful teachers for guidance, the rain. Their guidance and encouragement helped us a lot during this pandemic. Also thanking to our technical members. Without you all, I don't think that this virtual session was possible. Last but not the least, I would like to say each and every participant a big thank you for making this event a successful, wonderful, and honorable one. I once again thanks each and everyone for being there with us and making this Independence Day of 2020 a memorable one. I will just conclude at the end that today we dream about one nation, one vision, and one identity. Jai Hind.